What happens if you want to get divorced but you can't find your spouse? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchla with Kinchla Law, and today we're going to talk about special service, how to get it. All right, so one of the things that you have to do whenever you want to get a divorce is that you have to file a complaint for divorce and you have to serve it on the other party. Now, there are a couple of ways to do service, and this video today is not about how to do service, but I'm going to mention two of the main ways that you can do that. The first way is through personal service, which is you use a process server, a sheriff, if that's what your county requires, to actually go and give the document to the person. The other way to do that is to send it to them through the mail, following the rules that are outlined in the Rules of Civil Procedure for Service, which generally require you to send it to them by restricted certified delivery, which means that only they can sign for and receive that document. Okay. Again, we're not going to go too much into that because there are some things that you want to make sure you're aware of when you're performing service to make sure you do it right. You don't want to waste your time by doing it wrong. Now, the issue we're going to talk about today is what happens when you can't find them. And this is not unheard of. Often people have come to my office where they've been separated for 5, 10, 15 years. I even had a client where they were separated for 20 years. And had no clue where the other person was. So we started out by looking at where they last lived, and that was kind of how we started our investigation. And once we were unable to really get too much further into that process, we were able to file a motion for special service, also sometimes called alternative service. And what that does is that it allows for you to be able to demonstrate to the court that you've done a reasonable investigation, that you've exhibited good faith in trying to find this person, and now you need another way to be able to serve them. And sometimes that service can be done by publication, but often what people are requesting is email or through social media even. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more towards the end of this video. Rule 430, and I'm going to put that link in our show notes, outlines what you need to show in your affidavit. And an affidavit is a document that is certified by you under penalty of perjury that you are saying to the court, I did these things, or this is the result of what I've done. And you need to put those things in there. So there are 4 things in Rule 430 that outlines what you must do. The first thing is that you have to make inquiries to the postal authorities. So generally this is asking for an address through the Postmaster General. Now on the United States Postal Service website and usually on court websites, and even by a Google search, you can find a form requesting an address from the Postmaster General. And you can also use inquiries from the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, to also go through and get this information. So that's the first step. The second step is to make inquiries of relatives, neighbors, and employers. And you also want to indicate what happened. So if you reached out to a mother or brother and they're giving the same information that you always had, you want to document that that's what came back. Or if you reach out to the employer and the employer says, hey, we can't give that information out, it's confidential, you want to make sure that you indicate that as well. So you want to, again, make the inquiries, and then you need to include what the results of those inquiries were. The next thing you want to do is an examination of public records. So you want to look through, courthouse records, look through tax records. You want to go through voter registration and the Department of Motor Vehicles. You're allowed to make requests through these entities to be able to find the information that you need. And again, you want to make sure that you're documenting the results. Now, as you can imagine, kind of as we started talking through the first 3 of these 4 steps, a lot of these can take time, depending on what's going on with the post office, and even more so now, it takes a while for information to come back. So this is not something that if you're really in a hurry all of a sudden to get through, that you want to drag your feet on. If you think that you're not going to be able to find your spouse, go ahead and start doing these things now, so that you can get a result back at some point. If you know that they're not where they used to live, go ahead and do that post office search or that Freedom of Information search, because it can take several weeks to come back. Now, the last thing that you want to do that's outlined in Rule 430 is a reasonable internet search. So again, the first thing we think of is Google, but you also want to look at some other places. Have they had a business? Can you look up the LLC information, the registration information with the state? Go through social media. If you've known them to have Facebook or some other social media, use some of the social media platform, go through that as well. A lot of the times people are not completely lost to us. We may not have any idea where they're living or where they're working right now, but we know that they're still on social media. We know they're on Facebook or that they're on Instagram. So what you can do is demonstrate to the court, say, hey, this is his Facebook. He's blocked me, but he's still active. Or this is his email. I know that it's worked because emails are not bouncy back, and I've known him to use this email. Can I have permission to serve this person with these documents through this method? And then what the court will do is generally have a hearing where you certify again that you've done these things. If there's been any updates, sometimes the court may do it just of its own accord, but generally there might be some type of hearing. And the court is going to give you back instructions that you need to make sure that you follow to perform the special service. All right, so I hope that you found this video helpful. You always want to make sure that you speak to an attorney licensed in your area about the rules and facts specific to your case. These videos are not legal advice. They are for informational purposes only. But again, I hope you found them helpful. So make sure you hit subscribe to get additional tips on custody, divorce, and support. If you want to speak to an attorney from our office, you can go to our website below, kinslowlaw.com, or you can give us a call. The telephone number will also be in the show notes. All right, until next time, take care.